Hello techies, I'm Divya here. On behalf of CyberBrainer, don't you think the world of tech is evolving faster than ever? Now is the perfect time to dive in and build the skills that will take you places. With CyberBrainer, we are putting you in the driver's seat of your own future. We at CyberBrainer don't just teach your interest. We believe that knowledge is power, but it's applied knowledge that truly sets you apart. Whether you're diving into data science, mastering artificial intelligence, or exploring the world of cybersecurity, our courses are designed to give you the skills that matter. So let's jump into the session and make the future yours today. Thank you.
Yesterday, we discussed how, within the sites, we went inside this site and within this again, and then we changed the movement. What we did is, it's a whole hierarchy of pages. We did this and we saw our changes on the publisher itself. How we did? We changed the content. We have this preview over here to preview that how the content is looking before publishing or activating or replicating the page. We clicked over here and published the page. It is. Now let's understood how behind the scene this connection gets to know the replicate has to activate on the same local host means the server is same, the port is performing. Here you remember, I told you that Adobe always suggests that you make the use of default port for these. Adobe always suggested to make the use of port 0.2 for author and port 0.3 for publishing. Because of this simple configuration, because by default Adobe internally also says Adobe port 0.3 is the default publishing port and there it would be. Its configuration will be default during the publishing. Now that is why for beginners the fact is set to use the same when you get to know about the end and you can change the configuration by using. Now what happens is there are always two icons in this whole thing. One is this is where you find the site experience, segment assets and some forms, and then you have this hammer icon. Hammer icon is again the authoring. Somewhere the authoring and development developers also use it. This is all together. The author, because C pages will be created by author experience. I will tell you these are also work and assets are also authoring. You as a developer would not. Of course you would be in case if you want to go to any page, you would be using it, but not much. But this hammer is like you do authoring configuration sort of thing like here. You like here to see the configuration which is doing this replication to prepare you. Somewhere it is a configuration, however it is ended by author. All those sort of things will sit over there. Like see even the templates. Templates is both developers as well as author thing. You develop the component. Once you have developed, then the authors configure those templates. Where do they configure? They will go to this configuration icon and they will get a lot of things. Similarly, workflows, authoring configuration thing. You get the authoring. Author, you get the workflows. We have assets over here as well. Some configuration of assets are being done through here. Similarly for site. Here we have security. All the user management, our users are created. Like as of now, you see I am logged in as an admin user, but that is not the page. I will tell you how users are created and you create groups and permissions. It is like all the configuration sort of things are being done over here. When it is at this handle icon, what happens is there are agents who sits on author and also sits on publisher instance. We call them as replication agents. The responsibilities of these agents are, the purpose of different agents is different. We have one of our agents which we call it as default application agent. That default replication agent is responsible for packaging the content from one instance and migrating it to the another. These agents or replication agents is doing this thing. We are going to see what is the configuration of those agents and where does it sits in India. If I go to the hammer icon, you will see the deployment. The deployment is where you have to go, and then you have the replication. Here, if I will go to the replication, our agent should be on agent or author, because the agent should be on author, because on author we are replicating the content to the particular. Agent will be on author from where it will be packaging all that pages or assets which we want to replicate to the publisher. I will go over here, and here I have my default agent which says agent is active and replicating to local host location. Here, if I open this, you can see you can check the connection if you want to test the connection. I can say test connection. It succeeded. If you say that no, this is working on from another port, you will do edit transport, and let's say it was running on port 10. If you again test the connection, of course it will fail because there is no AEM instance running on the port for my local host. Its connection is failed. Now, if you will try to activate any page, what will happen is, let me just close this, and here you will see that here you have a queue. This queue will start forming if I publish this way. Let me not publish any other thing because all these things are already there. In a minute, you will see this queue will be blocked. First, there is nothing which is available on 4504. It will say, the agent will say that it is trying to replicate it, but it is not able to establish the connection to the company. Let me just repeat this. You can see queue is blocked in one item, which is the home state that we just activated. You edit this again, go to the transport and change it to 4.0 back to 4.4. In a minute, what happens this? Agents keep on trying at certain intervals, like maybe in few seconds. That is the port configuration. Here in a minute, you will see that it will get activated and the changes will be. We will have to. It will retrieve. In other words, we can. It keeps on retrieving after certain intervals. We do not want to go again and publish. No, see it's in the queue. Now it's the agent responsibility. Activation is run from all of them. Activation and then replication. Activation means publishing. Both those are interrelated. Change over you stuff. Activation, replication, or even publishing or migrating. All these and it's done. If we have multiple publishers, as one was running at 4.0, the other was running on 4.0, folder 4.0, 4.04. And then many like let's say three publishers. Now it is the responsibility of the agents to migrate the content. Here it is the responsibility of the agent. What we do is, there is no provision that is single agent and migrate the content or replicate the content from one author to multiple publishers. As many publishers we have, that many replication agents is what we need. Each replication agent can only migrate or cost one or replicate the content to only one publisher. That many publishers, that many agents is what we need. I will tell you later when we will do into some more screens how you create another publisher, how you create another. I can show you now how you create another publisher instance, how you create another default agent. You see, always see on the top what's the path to the path is PPC replication. If I go and did I show you this CXD screen yesterday? It's great. No, we have not. Let's not go into this. This is exactly I was telling yesterday that content managers can all those used in the other part. That is kind of a screen. Here the CXT is completely developers. Here you see this is the path is /PTC/replication. If you remember, the path for this was xverse. Please remember, it was like content lifetime. This is the look and feel like it always provide the look and feel to do it, like the screens to do everything. But behind the scene, you see everything happening over here. Like you can see, it's basically the UI for your repository, user interface for your repository. Here you see, it was content, and then we created this folder, my AE. If you will go and then here you will see my AEA and the image that you uploaded. Or that thing that you do from the actual UI. We seen behind the scene over here. It's the other one, also similar, like the CRXD light. That kind of stuff. That tree structure is there for in their management, and then the AM, the content, all those used to modify that screen. That UI and product, they call it as Experience Manager, that similar name. They call it as, and then that we need to install separately. It's a separate software. It comes off, but it's not every client will use it. All the authors, they go to this one tree structure only. They'll create component and everything the others also. Means this, we also named it as CRXD Lite, or was that something different? It's called Content Manager. It's called Content Manager. And then the UI. Some authors like to use the one you are showing, and they are the Experience Manager. Maybe they named it, maybe after Adobe one. This is the only thing that they use, and they call it as Experience Manager. This one, they call it Content Manager. Most of the content, they use this to create components. Components means content. They just insert content only. And then the code is called component template, and this component and component template together is called a component presentation. And in Adobe component and template. Sorry, can you come again with the last thing? Component is one. Component is only content. In that content, code will not come. The code to render the content will not be there. That will be there in the code component template. And then when in the page, when you create the page, we add this component, and next to the component, we add a component template also. It will become a component presentation. That then, when the code running, then this component will be content. The component will be rendered using the component template, and that's how the HTML will be produced. Similarly here in the AM, what I understood is it's all combined. It's called the command. It has a content and template, both together and the code. Here content is developed separately. Template is developed separately, and using that we create the page. It should show this here. The component means in the component itself. You have both. And the code to render it. Here come again. Here, what do you mean? Here in component, what do we have? We have the content and the code to render the content also to the side in that component. No C component. Component sits differently from the content. See, here it's not that content is combined or content is created using components, but component sits differently and content sits differently. Maybe the things that the terms we may not be using correctly, like the content component. Can you open a component here? Yes, see, let me show you the content. Here we went. Let me show you. We went inside these sites and then it was all content. We went inside retail. We went inside this path. There is content retail. Here, you can do it directly, copy from here, and you can paste it over here. Let me just remove the initial and just hit it here. You see, the path for this is this content, and then I can this. All the content, the pages, the dams, everything which is content which authors did will sit inside the content hierarchy. You see here and then I have the woman. We were working. But where does component sits? Component is basically your code. It's all your code, developer's code. All the developer's code sits below the apps that you develop. You develop the apps. It means every code that you develop, whether it's components or whether all the back ends of all the apps. What happens is, let me just open a component. Let's say we have this alien world component. Here you can see I created. I have this between folder and below this I have components and some configurations, and this client list will be someone below this. I have the components and they are at this component. Now what happens is when we create the page here, if I go to some hierarchy, here I have the people pages as well. Here, if I show you somewhere, if I would be using the AEM word component, what happens is we refer that component inside the page. Here you see, there has to be a property which is sling resource type, which will be referring that component's path. But saying this content, within this content, this node has been created by using that component which has this inputs like the color, the mail name, and how these properties or how this node will be rendered by using this component. Within the content will be there for our component. It's a relative path. Here the component means the code, not the actual content. Component is coded. Component is coded. Content is altogether different. Content internally refer components. See within a page is all content. Within a page, we place multiple components on the page. Page will be created with the content hierarchy. But when we place a component on a page, then its nodes start referring to that component. Here, you can see by using this sling resource type, it starts referring to that component node. It's not. That component is altogether developers. Content is altogether. And when you place a component on a page, then the node that behind the scene gets created, like here. You see, let me open this page. I have this. Somewhere I am using this component. Let me add the editor. That this editing becomes a label on this page. You see, I am using this AEM board component. If I added this, it's over here. Now from UI perspective, from this page perspective, I just place this AEM board on this page, the AEM board component. But behind the scene. But it doesn't. Of course, it will create a node for that. And it says sling resource type. It indicates where exactly is the component is placed because it needs to know how these node values will be rendered. Internally, it refers the component. You said how the node values to be rendered. Where is the node value? You can see these things are included from here. Like if I change like color, there is pink. Let me change it to blue. And let me save it. If I go back and refresh this, see the color is same. Whatever you input inside the dialog is ultimately stored over here. How these values will be rendered is basically the component thing. Here we are referring this component, which will say that these are the nodes that has to be rendered. But how will these be rendered on the page? Because of this component we just place at this point. We make it as a related path internally. AEM automatically converts it into an absolute path. Confused? We went a bit ahead. Now what I want to. Can you show a page like a good page with some content and component together? Some content. Here this is the page. This is the page. And here we have the component. Like, let me place another component. If I place like simple and other component, and let's say this title component. Title component. Let's do that. If I go, I have this title component on this page. If I go behind the scene, let me refresh this parent node because below this the title component could be added. And here again it says the sling resource type. It says that whatever the nodes, whatever you input in from the dialog, the part of content this author's event like, let me add in the title. That my new page. Ultimately, you can see the title is stored over here, but how these properties will be rendered on the page is by using this component. Here, we have referred this component within the page. Now I see the title Haitojo. Previously, I didn't see that my page showed me because we didn't input it anything inside the dialog. That was by default. By default, it came. By default, yes, by default. Maybe in the title component there would be a check. If nothing has been inputted, then put the name of the page. Now, if you go back, I want to ask something. This is what I was talking about. Now you showed me it's a title component. Title component. Now that title component has both code and value. See while you write. Title component has both. Title component only has code. Values are a part of content. These are a part of content which component will read and will display on the page. Here we have referred that this is a content which has been inputted by the author. How will these be rendered is by using this component. Component will have the code, read these and display it in the HTML. In the JCR content, my new page is a page. And then under that you have JCR content root responsive. See what I did is I just simply copied this part. You will get the page part. Here you get the page part. Now every page will have a JCR content node, and below that it all depends upon the structure of your template. Those pages created using template. Like see basic concept. Like you have PowerPoints. In PowerPoints you can select a template. What happens with the template is that all the slides will have the same look and feel. Similarly, like all in all the sites, what we see is that all the sites have the same header and footer. The best is that you create a template which will have the header and footer, and all the pages that get created from that will have the header and footer. Templates helps us in giving us the default content to the page. The nodes, these get created because of the template. Because we have created a page using a template. Always remember if the page will have a JCR content node below that find nodes, usually because of templates, and then whatever you add, the content will be added. Then what is that responsive? Responsive grid is this, where you can add the component. This is called as responsive. How that responsive grid came there? Oh, let's not go fast. That is also a component. Is that a component? I said let's not go fast. When you will discuss templates, you will discuss this. As of now, you understood how a components is separate, why components is a separate thing, and how content internally refers components. Any question? In the component properties, it is basically, if you click the title in the component properties, it is referring but it is the component properties. This is component. You click the component only. This is content. Oh, it's content. This is content. Here I am left with this. Now in this tree structure you are showing that has only conduct, only content. Yes. I told you, see again, I am telling you, content is a part of remember this thing. Content is a part of sorry. Your component is all code, and I told you where does your code sits. Code sits below the apps hierarchy. Always remember, your code sits below apps hierarchy. Content is where your authoring thing sits. All the authoring sits. All the content sits below the content hierarchy. Apps is where your code sits. That is where that one did to me. I think we only looked at content. Maybe that's reason. Did we component? We didn't look at it. That is now it's clear. That the component sits in the apps and content sits here. We have this application. We discussed about that. How did we went from here to there? Similarly, there is replication events on authoring. If you will go inside the CRXT behind the scene, we will see there will be an. You can see the over here. And then what was that? Application. You will find the replication over here, and then you have the agents on author. Here you will also find this agent publish agent. What is this? If I see the properties of this is the default publishing agent. This is the default agent. What you can do behind the scenes. This is I'm telling you from behind the scene, but there is another scene for this. If I replicate this, if I go to this misscheduled, mislinear side. From here also you can do it. It opens all the folders. Whatever we have inside it opens over here. Here you have the replication agents on author, and this is your default. The agent come out from not agent. This is your default. Here it comes. What you can do is you can copy it and again paste it. And here you can write it as publish one, and it sits below agent on author. And let's just copy this. We have this over here. I can open this and change the port over. Let me change it to. But we can change it to port and see what port. And now if I will go again back to home, let me just show it to you. I can deployments replication agents on author. We have one default agent that was published. The other one that we created was published. One. Some you can see, the other one is. This way, either through this screen, miscellaneous admin, or even you can do it from the background. You can copy it like here. You have. Let me just see it. Because then you have to also get. If you want to again create another one, just click on this. You can copy, you can go in here. Like this way you can copy, click over here and paste. Here, let's save all and rename it to published. Published. And then you can change the properties from here like here. And if you want to change the name and things from here, default agent, if you want to rename it to something different. And like you see it will be replicating. To which port? Let me open this. Here it is replicating to 4.3 again. Both the ways. You as a developer, what we'll do is you can do it from here, from the backend, from the CLXD light switch. Let me just delete it because we are not going to use this. And in case you could update it, then this view will be blocked and will keep on waiting. That is some lot of more. We discussed about this. Now this node is removed. You will return, you will find. And also when you publish two things I wanted. One is when you save our transport. For example, when you publish something now, it will be transported to the publisher instance. The date. Now as it is going in a structure, like in XL or whatever the file. In a structure, but you need to select how it is. Transportation happened where that file I like to see, I told you. What happened? What is the responsibility of pregen? I told you. It is responsible for packaging. For packaging, it means it can create the zip out of it internally. That's what I wanted. I wanted to see that. That can be seen. In our folder, it will be seen. No. Which folder? In our content, this one, all the instances. Why? Inside the content folder, it will create the zip. It will create internally. It will save that zip internally somewhere in the repository. Transport it to the publisher. It will show it to you inside the content hierarchy. Where it is, it won't be. We will. Content is all. It's not that internally AEM can do anything inside content. Content is very secure space. Like secure space means the AEM cannot do anything over here. Internally, it packages and make it available or transfer it to the publisher instance. Somewhere in the repository it stores, but that is none of our business. This one, the whole structure, the content, and what is the backend of this AEM. What is the backend? Where it is storing. See what happens is, let me just tell you. I tell you we are. See, this is the first thing. This is the CRXC light screen and this is the, somewhere is a database. The AEM also maintains the database. There is a database and this is reflection of the database. Now everything here like we have relational database in some like Oracle or MySQL and all this. But AEM makes the use of KCR, that is Java Content Repository. How does it store? The content is in the form of node and key value here. Everything is node over here. You see, and we clicked over here, everything was node. Here this is a node. This is a node. This is a node and everything will have its key property and value. Like we have MongoDB. That is also stored basically internally. Yes, it's all node value, but there is a database. I told you that there is a repository. There is a repository of AEM, and that's what I told you like here. If I open this, this is the folder where the repository is all created. Whatever the code gets deployed, whatever the codes that get deployed, whatever the content, changes are being made behind the scene, it stores inside this folder in the form of TRs. If I go over here, you will have this repository folder, segment node store. You see all the TRs. There are different ways in which it stores. One of them is TARs and one is in the form of file data store. Encrypted files. If I go over there like data store, it will save it in the form of files. Like here we have the files. Now do not alter anything in the repository. You never need to go and touch anything inside this or create anything inside this because this is all AEM thing. How internally, whatever we are seeing over here, it is in the form of, it is called a JCR. In AEM we use JCR repository. The data is stored in the form of node and key value pair. Everything here is called as node. This is a node and every node will have a key value pair. And behind the scene all the things, whatever you do, ultimately you deploy your code also on AEM server only and your content is also. Here, what we did is we created our code and we deployed it on the server AEM server. Similarly over here. Everything ultimately goes on AEM server. Content is, of course, created over there and content is never checked in. Content. Whatever the content that you create is never checked in. It's all a part of your server. Only I told you yesterday. Content is something that is checked in. That will be a part of your hard disk or local drive. From there you will check it inside the mid bucket and all. But content is never a part of your local hard disk. Content is always created on the server only. Everything ultimately goes on the server and will be seen over here in the form of node key value pair. And behind the scene, whatever we do, whatever we deploy, whatever the code we deploy is stored in the form of tags and files because it is file data stored inside this hierarchy. In this hierarchy, when we publish a page, that's in a package which will also be there in that. This one. Behind the repository, within whatever the package that's created, you do not know where it is stored. But somewhere that package will also be stored. The reason I was asking is the other product. Similarly, when we transport, there is a transport package will be created like in XM, this node form similarly. If something happened, it's not going or something we used to open, unzip it and see what is happening. What is inside the content. In case here, you do not need to see that. In case you can pretend you are replicating and it's not available on the publisher, you just put the replication agent. That is why everything is there in the UI form in AEM. You go to the agent. You check if your agent is able to connect to your publisher or not. You do not need to see behind the scene what AEM is doing. AEM is fully responsible for doing all its work. It's you who can make mistakes. If you are making a mistake, then of course some configuration issue will be there in this application. Don't think AEM may be making some mistake. It will be me only, as a developer, who will be not making the configuration correct for that. How do we have a sample structure at least to see how that node value, that transport, look like that file for a page, for example, a page. the page, and when I publish, I would like to see how it is forming that. No, we cannot see how it is forming. That is, Adobe is behind the scene. That is, of course, nothing to do with developers. How AEM is working. Or tomorrow, you will say you need to know. You will go to Adobe and you will say I need to know how AEM is Adobe or Adobe company is showing this screen. This cannot if we cannot explore or we cannot go in. No, they are. Since now here, there is no backend database like SQL Server or Oracle, it's just Adobe. There are no. Whenever we save something like content, it's the same way only. But we in the backend, we can see all the how it is. It's just as SQL Server. We can just go and see how the content is stored. But here, see here, it's all. If you want to explore, you can go with the stars and annotate and see if you find anything. That is one way. If you still wanted to see, I tell you it is not end to be told, but I still tell you is see. What happens is it is the agent packages and somewhere in the see if you will see, there's a package folder and there is a package folder and here are the packages are over here somewhere. It will create a zip of yours and will store it over here. But it is all behind the scene. You do not need to know. You do not need to know how it is doing that. What you need to know is that somewhere the default application agent may have some issue and it is not able to work. You know what? In the exam we had this, for that product we had certification, certified solution architect, developer. They want to ask but certified solution architect exam. I passed that at that time and going in very deep in the structure, very deep in those kind of. That is why we go in, explore and open it. It's a file and everything structured completely. We learn. Don't worry, we will also explore the things, but by the time you will yourself get to know. I know I told you it packages later on. I will also show you in a few minutes that how the packages are created. In the similar way, we will also be back in the. We will be doing all these things. This is very good. If I am, I might go a little deeper, but then this is good. This is fine. We'll continue. This was about the application and all. And here also you can see, it's the packages I will show you. I will tell you now. Let me tell you now only, since we are already running very much fast. Let me just tell you now. What happens? Let's consider that you created this server. Let me show you. Let me give you the scenario. We created all the content. Let's say we created all these pages. We have to get our assets and all assets. One time to the part of sum of, it's not a part of what we had say. Now you created another server. You created another pieces. This is all the queue and then you have to create a UAT. And of course, you can deploy the code because code is a part of your like normal hard drive or your local is from there. You can deploy the code. But what about the content? Content is something is a part of server. How will you move content from one server to another? Because ultimately, recreating that content. By placing all the components, by using the templates and placing the component and doing the authoring. It's a very big work and you may have hundreds of pages. What would be the solution in this case? What we do is here. If you have to move content from one place to another, there is a package manager screen. Everything in AEM is in the form of packages. Even the default, these agents also packages the content. When I'm saying packages, it's a zip. It packages the content and then it's provided to the mega developer publisher. In the same way, if you have to create the package of your content, that is pages, and provide it to someone that they can have it on their new server. What we do is we will also create the packages. And how do we do that? As you see, instead the CRXD, you have this and this. This is the packages, and also if I go from here, let me just go to the home screen. Am I done? And again the deployment here also, you have these packages. Here, if I click these packages, or even if you click this link over here, this will also take you to the same screen. This is CRX Package Manager screen. Here, this screen is where you can manually create the packages. If you want to create any package, let me go and say, oh Joe. I know this is what I was asking, can I see the zip file? This is where it is, this there. Yes, that's what I told you. Here you can create. It's not. Here, it's not that you can see the file of. I go to the internal order as well. But here you can create yours. You created the zip and you can edit it and set up filters. You can give the parts like consider if you wanted to give the create the zip of your equipment. And you went inside like retail. And then you are. Just select the page. Select the internal part. It's the whole thing that you have to select. It's done and you can add multiple parts. Like if you do that, then you add in another filter. And also if you had the top level part, like if I wanted. Sorry, if I wanted to create a page. If I wanted to create. If I select the parent part like, let's say if I select the parent part like retail, then you see as, and let's say below E and below the Experience Manager. See, this is you have further parts. You have further pages. If I select the experience, then we create a package of experience as well as a child. And page level, we can transport or even we can narrow down, drill down. Yes, we can narrow down. That is not at all acceptable. See, why would you create a package of simple like a component? If you are creating it, take the whole page. Of course, you can narrow down. It gives you the provision. But have it to your page. And then save it. And build your package. Here you will build your package. You have built your package. Now you can download it like, let me download it. I downloaded it. You will provide this zip to another user. Like, let's say there is another developer or another author in your team. You provide it to them. What they will do is they will upload it. And then they will browse it. And then they will access this. And will install it over here. Similar way AEM internally also, by replicating, it makes the zip, it will make it available to the publisher. Publisher will install it. That happens behind the scenes. How that happens, I cannot show it to you. No, how that happened is what I wanted was the content file. I just want to open and say I think, is this zip? Let me just show you the zip. I will be able to see. That's all I want. In the zip, let me just take it in the same. Here in training, let me just stop with this. Here, it will give you the complete path. Like here, what are the paths? It starts with /content. Agree with me, the path starts with /content. These are the package that you created. Agree with me. But you see there is a parent folder below /content. It is this /. The path starts from /. the slash, and then you have the content. Here also, if you will go here, you will have the JCR root. JCR root is this path, this parent node. This parent node. And then you will have the content folder. It will go. You will have the content. You have the V reader, you have the in and experience and all the file folders. Similarly, if I go below this, content pre-retail, and then it will say in and move out. I think that XML file is. It has everything there. It has everything. That is the fact I was asking you. Just wanted to see what is inside, how it is formed when we will develop the component. When we will create the component is also created. Basically, to create, the component is over here. Of course, it is a part of code base. What we do is we create the component over here because it is easy to create over here. And then what you do is you create your component over here. And then of course, it is a server. You have to take the component to your local address because ultimately it is a part of code and you have to check in the code. What we do is whatever we develop over here, then we create the package of that and then we unzip it. Like here, I will unzip it. And then we will copy paste my component on my local address. And there you will see that component are also in the form of XML. Let me just show it to you. And I will open IntelliJ there. I will show it to you. The format of one of the components. That is also in the XML. Everything that we have in R. I will see where it is. When we will create a new project, then I will show it to you. And I have got an idea. Everything is in XML. And it is coming. Everything behind the thing is in XML. If you plan to develop your component from your local IntelliJ, your local ID, then you will do it in the form of XL. XML contains e-value pair and all the things. That is great. We discussed about package manager. That will help you in moving the code from the other one, the ByPN and Discord. Whatever they are creating the AEM, creating those FPs we cannot download. Okay, me. Whatever AEM is created, that also you can see. Here, somewhere you have a folder. You can see all packages, Adobe's package, then this packages, then seek new plot B counter, ByPN pine days, FT, I am not sure where exactly. When we publish, it will create a SIP file. When we publish behind the scenes, agents will packages. When I say packages, yes, it is in state of the file. And sometimes it will have it. Will that be available here in the package manager? Yes, it should be. But I am not sure where exactly it will be stored. I am not sure what name it would be using. Where exactly it will be stored? I am not sure, but then it will be here. Then we can also download an SIP and see. Yes, you can do that. That is what I have said. Even if you do not want to do it automatically through activation of the page, like here, you go and you activate that page. Here, what else you can do is, you can manually also do. You can package the same page through here, and then you can download it like the way I downloaded it. And then you can go to and download it to your publisher screen. Publisher instance in there also you can install. That also you can do manually. The same thing that is automatically being done, you can do it manually. Very good. I mean, everything is here, and also it is very good that you have an interface also. See, for example, we did not have an interface like this. But if you do not have the interface, then if you have to take the content from one server to another, then how would you be doing that in your earlier videos or earlier LUCS? See here, this package manager is mainly to migrate or to package the content. That is the main purpose. Like you created all the content. There it is called import export visit. It is there. Export visit. It should be there. Because see content, remember content is always a part of your server only. That is why company keeps on taking the backup of the content by daily sort of job, sort of thing or something daily. AEM internally also provide this job where you can take the back through which you take the backup of your content on daily basis, those hourly basis sometimes. That is all up to the company's policy. Some companies have strict policies, stringent policies here, where they want content to be taken back upon on regular 1 or 2 hours, or some have a daily, or some have like. Sarav, you are showing me an instance where usual path is, if we need to publish something, you go to that page and publish. Instead of doing that, what you are saying is, if you need to bulk publish, if you want to do, go to package manager and do a packaging. That is what you are telling me. No. If you want to bulk activate, that also you can do from here. There you can select multiple pages. Here you can select all these pages. Then what was the package manager do? The package manager. Again you have your QA instance. And now you want to set up your U8 instance. Your QA instance won't be directly migrating the content to the U80 instance. Here you won't get the option to migrate the content to U80 instance. And in the U80 instance, you will have authors and publishers. How will you take all that content from U80 instance to your U80 instance? See this? Replication is used basically to migrate the content from author to publisher. But of course, your QA server would be sitting on a different server altogether. Here are my. If you consider this is my QA, which is on localhost, my publisher of this is also on localhost only. But your QA would be altogether on a different server. When you want to migrate your content from one server to another, how will you do that? One author to one author instance to another author instance sitting on a different server. That is one example. But the main thing is, how will you migrate the content from one instance of M to another? Basically, this is the question. And the answer to this is to package. Create the packages out there. When you say again one instance means, is it author instance or publisher instance? Any instance. Any instance. See, if you say that this content is different on author and different on publisher, this page looks different on author and different on publisher. But I want the page that is there on publisher that I want on my another on some different server. How will you do from publish? You will go to the package manager. You will package that. Remember that replication agents are being used only for the purpose of migrating the content from author to publisher. If you want to take the content and deploy it on and get it on some another instance altogether, like in some which is maybe somewhere altogether different. For that, you will package the pages. The replication agents. Remember, replication agents are only for migrating the content from author to publisher. That is only the purpose of replication. Not, you can migrate the content of using that from one environment to another environment. That cannot be done. That is not acceptable to be done through application. I have a publisher sitting in one server and I have an author instance sitting in one server. I have my publisher instance sitting in another server, and using replication and using the normal publishing, I am able to port the information to the other instance. Now in this, using the package manager example, what you are giving me is again, is that author instance to publisher instance or author instance to author instance. What is the difference? Brother, wait. See your replication agent. See, everything has a purpose. Replication agent. The purpose of replication agent is to only migrate the content from one author. The same environment. Environment should be same. If it's QA, then I'm only talking about QA's author and QA's publisher. The responsibility of agent should only be to migrate the content of same author, same environment author instance to the same environment publisher instance. Even if the publisher, consider, is sitting on some other server, maybe on your machine which is on IP 123 or Y267, then I will update it to that IP. IP will be that, and of course, whatever the port you are using. The responsibility of replication agent is to be used within the same environment and to migrate the content from author to publisher. Let me just complete. Within the same environment, you mean what, sir? Within the same environment means, what is this? This is our broad environment. You see broad environment. It has one author and multiple publisher instances. Now, similarly, we will create a QA environment that will also have an author and maybe multiple publishers or single publishers. Here, to migrate the content from here author to publisher, you will use this replication agent. If you want to take your content, maybe from author of your broad to the author of publisher, or even from author of broad to publish instance of QA, then you should use packet manager. Or see when you have to migrate the content from altogether one environment. See when I am saying one environment, it means ultimately it is the EM instance, only either author or publisher. But you will package the content from the author instance or either the publisher instance of one environment, take it to the author or publisher of the other environment, another environment, then you will install it over there. What do you call it? I see what you are saying, because we cannot come here and URI we cannot in the production environment. We cannot come here and change the URI to QA environment. Why would you do that? That is not acceptable. About that, everything has been accomplished. Exactly, that's not acceptable. That's why we can use package manager to create package manager and also to add on that package manager. There is a limitation on how deep or how many pages you can package. It's not that you can give a computer, there are thousands of pages and that you start packaging that. That is of course will not work and will fail. The package manager will fail. There are another tools available which helps us in doing the bulk content migration. If you have few pages, like consider 15, 20 or maybe 100 or 200 or even 500 pages, that is all with this package manager. But consider you have a big website which has maybe 10,000 pages. For that, of course, package manager is not. Package manager you can do. You can create multiple packages. You can create package of 200 pages. That also you can do. But then you have to create multiple packages. One package at a time, second and third and fourth, and install them, then download them, build them, download them, and then upload it on another server. To prevent this, of course it can be done, but to prevent this there are another tools in the market to which you can do, and even Adobe also provide the tools to which you can do. What is that? To any tool, name anything. There is a jar which is called as CRX2O. If you will search, just explore on this CRX2O. Oh my great. Oh my great. Aimant. and you will get all the information using a migration. There is a jar provided by Adobe that will help in migrating the content. But content. SEO migration tools. Read about this. You will get to know about this. Good. That is AIMS one. Outside one, there are two that are available. Just search ACS tool for content migration. And Delta using ACS is common. These two. One is the ACM tool, the other is the let me just bring it over here and the ACS content migration. And the other one is CRX2. CR2 is best suited. You can save it into your notepad because when I get that notepad, everything will be there. Content migration. Another thing, since you are more focused on this content migration, these tools work for migration of content from on-prem to on-prem. Like you have in 6, like you are running on-prem server, multiple on-prem environments. One is broad, one is QN. For that it will work. But to migrate the content from on-prem to cloud, Adobe Cloud, we discussed about this Adobe Cloud, you consider. Now you are migrating from 6.5 to Adobe as a cloud. Of course, code you can deploy separately, but content has to be migrated. There is a separate tool which works altogether differently for migrating the content from 6.5 to Adobe as a cloud, and that is called as Content Transfer Tool for Adobe as Cloud Service, AEM. This is mainly a CTT content transfer tool. After that, it's all. While you are searching, just write for Adobe. As of now, there is no such tool in the market who can do content migration. I searched a month or 2 months before. Still, they were not. I am not sure if now they have introduced. But who migrate the content within the same cloud to cloud? Like you have multiple, one is dev and one is broad. And if you migrate the content from broad to dev, dev to broad, there is no such as of now. For that you have to use package manager only as of now. I am not sure. Until 2 months back, I can tell you. I am not sure if they have introduced now. I am not sure on that. But until 2 or 3 months back, there was no such tool. Who can do the content migration within the cloud like here we are using? We are on 6.5. Within 6.5, we have multiple environment, one is broad and 2. We can do that. But cloud to cloud, there is no such. When I say environment, environment is whole. Author and publisher whole thing. Thank you. We discussed about this. Now let me just show you a few of the authoring things. Let me go to site. Let me go to the space. Men and women. Always remember if you have played. A review for the editor mail. Now we understood what is preview. Within the edit. Consider, we also discussed about this publish page. Similarly, we have unpublished page in case if you want to remove your page from the publisher. If you will click on unpublished page, what will happen is it will remove the page from the publisher. That again the same replication agent. It will send some command. I don't know what that is. But it will remove this page from the publisher behind. The whole page from the publisher will be removed. If you click on this publish the page in video, you have locked. This is important. See if your different author is working on this woman. And really author B also starts working, like they also start upgrading some content. Their work may over with each other. To prevent this, What happened is one author. Authors have the capability. They can lock it. Here one of us. One author will lock the page and another author cannot work. It's where you can see the lock icon is over here. If you consider to do, you are working and me, I am also working, you will lock the page and I won't be able to unlock it. I said, and I won't be able to edit this page anymore. In case, if you have to unlock, it's only you can unlock it or the administrator. The administrator, user can add in, user can do each and everything. Everything can be done by the administrator. I have all the rights to do everything. Even I can unlock it. Since I logged in and logged in as an admin user, I can also unlock it. Now you know if I forget to lock it, and then I may lock it or forget to unlock it or get to lock it. I am just editing something, and that's also a thing. There may be a possibility that you open the dialog for this. You opened the dialog for this just a minute ago and you updated the content over here and someone also came just after a minute and they also changed the content. They also get the requirement that you change it to something different. Your content will be lost. Correct? The other product, whenever we edit, when click edit, automatically it will be locked. Manually, we don't have to lock it. Here you have the provision you lock it, but it can be unlocked by you only or the administrator. Remember, administrator can do everything. That is why, when the author joins the company, what company does is they create the different user with the different permissions. Admin resides with them. You can say the company owner or the main head. The admin password or the admin credentials reside with him only. They can rest. Everyone gets a different log. We just have log, publish and publish. Viewer published also, we discussed yesterday. It opens it in the publishing mode. I told you I different between that preview and over here is preview still behind the scene. The code for this will work in the author model. When we do the preview, when I do the preview behind the scene, if we are make it like that, if we are make a check in the backend code, somewhere in the component, in some of the components, if we are make a check, that instance is equal to author and display or displayed in certain manner. And else, if the instance is equal to publish, then display the content in a different manner. Then here, when we click on this, it will take it inside the else if condition. That is, if instance is equal to publish. It will display in the background also. It will work as a publishing. All the things will work as a publishing instance. If you want each and everything similar to your publishing instance, you do this thing. We were not this. But if you're that, only want to see how the things are looking, more the preview. Now there, I told you yesterday, I told you we gave our names to our instances. You remember that we gave the name for instances. Here we gave the names to our instance in the startup. These names or this link run mode helps us in identifying what type of instances. Here I can make a check if instance is equal to publish and if the instance is equal to Pojo and if the instance is equal to pre-pro. I'm saying, and because here there are three names to this instance, one is published, other name is Dojo and the third name is pre-pro. These run modes are used to give unique names, and on the basis of this unique name, we can identify the type of instance and we can execute different codes for different resources. Got? Help is nothing. You will get the pop-ups and navigation. If you want to learn more about authoring, you can go help and everything like what all shortcuts are there. You keep on going next and it will give you whole idea. But here we have the layer. You develop this page, you come authoring perspective, you develop. On the backend developer side, I will do the whole development and I will from JS and CSR. I will also make sure how the page will be rendered on different devices, how it will be rendered on different laptop, iPad and all that. But once you do the authoring, you also need to. As an author also you need to make sure that how the paper look inside the layout. You can go and check how the page will go to authoring, how the page will look on different devices. My point. In layout. Layout is how the page will look on different devices. We have developers. Developers is what happens. You develop a page, you use different components, maybe 15 components on the page. And then you realize that your page is loading too slow, man. What could be the reason? Here in the developer mode you can go and it will help you telling how much time is being taken by each and every component that has been loaded on the page. It tells you that this is the time taken by the whole page. And within this, the segregated time taken by each and every component. Here we have these many components. Hero image is taking 6 minutes. I can within this responsive grid. See, this responsibility was saying this responsive grid is this new line. We call it as responsive grid is also component only, but it's a container component. Why container component? It means it can contain other components. We can drag and drop other components within it. Always within the responsive grid, you can place the components. You will see here over here because internet will have more components. Here you have the responsive grid, which is in the second this method time, but this is the second one. These are all these for the developer. Basically, more of developers think what time is being taken and how much you go over. Like, I will tell you later and leave the components you just showed me. Is out of the box. Component from AEM. Yes, these are some of the out of box. Auto-V Retail. Auto-V Retail is a demo site being provided which has the content and the code they say. In our AEM, the code and content for this is the person. This component you can say out of box or are the V Retails components. No, these are not core components. These are V Retail components. See, Adobe has developed V Retail as a demo site. It has developed a code for that. By code, it means the content template, component template, and its content as well. These components are the V Retail components. This is a separate thing which is called as core components, which I will tell you once we go to the component. But these components also can be reused. Any components can be reused. These can be reused. V Retail components can be reused. I told you why would you have the V Retail code on your production instances. It is not good to have the other websites for code in your instance. Yes, you can use it. You can take it on your local and try using it. But when I will develop a new code, you will find that this new code we will develop will automatically get many out-of-box components that you can use. You will forget about using the V Retail components. Let me just show it to you. Here we develop this code base, this BIPIN code base. And within this BIPIN, all these folders get created. And if I go inside the UI app, the UI app is saying that within the app, the code will be developed. If I go main content, JCR root app, here inside the BIPIN you will see components and you can see many other. These are all out-of-box components. I was only working on these 2, 3 components. All are at default a domain created component when we created this code base. When we created this code base, all these components come by default out of box. Are these components called the core components? These still are not core components. Core components are all together. It depends. Core components is a domain provided some components. They also provide in the package form, which we can install through what package managers need. And those are the best, like what are created in the latest way. Or the latest best way of working. If I open the apps again, all the code will be stored inside the app. If I go inside the app, we have WCM, not WCM. We have the core and WCM, and here we have the components. These are all the core components. Now the other one. The components are provided by Adobe that you can take reference and develop it according to them. Other ones were created by default when we created our code base. You can take reference from any of these, either from the core components. Core components. What happens with the core components? Adobe keeps on providing latest updates or new features of the best way of working. See, you created your code base once. That code base will remain as it is. This code base will remain as it is. There will be no updation on this. But this core updates will keep on updating. When you will deploy the newer version of VM, these core components will have the updated text newer features. How did we create the code base? Did we use the sling mode? We haven't wanted this. Let's not be fast. We have still a lot of days for the training. What I thought is, did I miss something? That's what I was saying. No, you won't miss anything. We will discuss it. That we didn't cover. That's why I didn't remember. Of course, brother. We still haven't faced the core component. We haven't even started discussing about components. How can we cover that code base? Don't worry, everything will be done. It's not a single day or a week. And the way in which we are going, the pace it's going to take a lot, man. I think we discussed about this. I don't know where we started and now where we are. Nope. I mean, I know that it may not going into the structure that you might be planning, but this is helping me a lot by, just let me. Yes, we were on the authoring. See, we were on the authoring, and I don't know how we went inside the component. That's great. That's really great. That's really great. We discussed about this. I am leaving for you to explore this time. I will be asking you tomorrow. Target. We won't be discussing what this is all. We will be with the target. I am. You will explore and tomorrow you will tell me. Explore where? Explore on Google. Yes. Just look, or if you have the instance up and ready, to see what is the time. We have functionality in. Again, author. What is this time? Start workflow. We will discuss and we will go to the workflow things, and a template is also even discussed. This is about. It takes us to the back screen. This is important now. Back to the edit mode. Here you have three things. One is this. Here, this is. I'm talking about this thing. We discussed about this and now we have this. Here we have this, through which we can add your assets. You remember we added this. We have to update it. Because we were on this. If you add over here, and you will see a different thing. You are on over here. You can select whatever you want to do. If you want to search for videos, products, documents, or content fragments. We will see them in a minute. But whatever you update or whatever you add, the latest will start appearing on the top of the table. This is where you can add images. And the third one, this is nothing like. You add the company. I will tell you about this data. And this is again the whole link. Whole show you about the hierarchy of your page. Which are components are there on the page where they place. If you want to open the company, like you're editing from here, you can even edit from here and you can go and click on it. And then we edit the thing. Either you can edit components, open the component by going over here and like here. This is the best and the easiest way. However, you can click over here and then also try to find this feature product here. Maybe it should be somewhere over here and it would be titled. It's not this and somewhere above this. Then maybe this. This is also, you can edit. Nothing. And let me just tell you about this as well. The second option, nothing. You can add the components over here in the responsive grid container component. Here, you can click over here. You will get the plus icon and you will get this pop-up from where you can add the company. Let me just select one simple component. Title component like this item. Here title give me the default text, which is the name of the page. I can even edit it to save my page. And now is another way, which is the second option. The second option also has to be finding the component and dragging it and dropping it on the page. Like if you go and select and drag and drop this content. Take a minute to start. Nope. All clear with this respect. We just create a content fragment and all we are not touching. It's a component that I place nothing. It's just a component. I showed you. This is a component. You can place any component. I'm not going to show you all of the content. Fragment component. I wanted to show you how there is another way you can place a component on your page. This title or this text, you can double click this or you can just click over here and then click on this plus or double click this second way or go over here and select the component. Please do like, share and subscribe to our channel.